Hi everyone, Sarah here, and welcome again to Past the Threshold. This is all about honest reality in a world full of bullshit. So I thought I would take this time, oh, here in my mouth, to tell you guys a little bit about my own personal journey and what I've learned because I think that it's really important to understand the mission of Past the Threshold and where each one of us comes from and why we feel like it's so important to talk about these topics that may seem a little uncomfortable or taboo, just because I think that we all go through hardship, and through hardship, it can be incredibly difficult, but it also teaches us how to overcome adversity if we can look at those challenges from a light of, okay, what can I learn from this and how can I grow? So for me personally, my ambitions and my passion around adversity came from years ago when I worked for a nonprofit, and there was just a lot of mental health concerns in the veteran community that I started to learn more about, and I just really felt like it was in my heart to help people. And so I decided to go back to school, study sports psychology, and it was just something that I really gravitated to, and I just understood mindset and what we can do so that we can have a healthier mindset and ideally produce better outcomes to help us to achieve what it is that we want most in life. With that being said, there's just different seasons that we have in life and different adversities and challenges that come into play. And in November of last year, I would say one of my biggest fears happened, and it's still hard for me to talk about it without crying because I'm a very emotional person. Um, but after 10 years of being married and a military spouse, my husband and I decided to get divorced. And it was such a challenging time for me. I can't say that I didn't expect it was coming. There was definitely a lot happening in the past few years that led up to those circumstances. But being that we had a daughter and we had built this life together, it was a lot for me to take in. So, what I decided to do is I just finished my master's degree, and I knew I'd worked so hard for this master's. I knew I wanted to have a profession where I was continuing to build and learn more in something that I worked so hard for. So I took a job, which ultimately led me to New York, which meant that I had to pack up my car with just the minimal things that I had, clothes and accessories, put my kid in my car, she's 2, and drive all the way from Yuma, Arizona to New York to start a brand new job. And as you can imagine, part of me was completely numb because so much was happening all at one time, but it was uh, very, very difficult just to absorb what was happening, not just with feeling like the relationship was over, but also um, your entire identity and way of life has completely shifted, and I had to step away from my dogs. And maybe this sounds a bit materialistic, but there were just certain sentimental things that we had together that it was hard for me to let go of, because I think letting go of a life that you built with someone and things that you care about most, um, it was honestly one of my worst fears. Not only that, but we had a daughter together, and I wanted to show her a healthy foundation, a healthy relationship, and parents who could stick together. So letting go of my ideas and views of how things should be or how I wanted them to be, and really being able to make this huge change in life to be able to not only grow in my career, but also show my daughter a strong mother was really just overwhelming. So it took some time, and we were able, to make it all the way to New York, start a new job, super scary. But what really reeled me in, and I just remember like that drive, all of the thoughts and processing that was going on in my mind. I would just look back at my daughter, and she would just sit in her car seat, and she just had this big grin on her face. And that was really a reset for me, that no matter what was going on, I want to show her what it's like to have a strong mother, and I wanted her to feel safe and protected. So, um, no matter what was happening or how I felt, and not that I neglected how I felt, I had time to process. Sometimes we just have to dig deep down inside of us and figure out how we can be strong. And at the time that I ended up getting to New York and really having to perform and meet the standards of my new job, which was, in my opinion, stressful. My grandmother died, and it was just continuous like reminder of, we need to have strong women. I Anytime that I ever felt like I wanted to argue with my ex, it was very challenging, but I would have to remind myself, like, this isn't about me, this is about my daughter, and what decisions can I make right now to show her and be an example and a role model to her so that she can see and emulate what that looks like. And not to say that I always made the right decisions or that I always did everything to my best ability. There were definitely days where it was hard just to get up because my energy was just completely drained because I'm solely responsible for this little girl. But through it all, there was just that reminder and that consistent comfort in knowing that I am showing her to my best ability what like overcoming adversity looks like. So again, here I am, I'm in this profession of overcoming adversity, and it's challenging because you're in your own mind of like, well, this is a setback for me, and I feel like I'm grieving, and it's hard for me to perform at my best. But it's all about our different seasons in life, and we really have to look at these difficult situations and say, okay, well, how can I look at this in a light, in a way to where I can make shifts and grow from it? And I'm not saying that this has to happen overnight. There was definitely time when I just had to work on healing and going through the grieving process. But the light at the end of the tunnel was, you know what, I can look at this and I can sit in this discomfort of, well, this is a horrible thing, and I can look at all the negatives that come from it, or I can look at it as like, this is a great opportunity, because I felt like after the split, I was able to tap into more of who I am. Sometimes I just felt like I was confined and I had to fit into a certain idea of what somebody else expected of me. And now I really get to know myself and know more about who I am and what I want out of my life. Because if anybody who's listening has ever been a military spouse, it's really difficult because you have to move every 3 or 4 years and follow like wherever their career goes, and that can be really challenging for you to have your own career and have your own thoughts and ideas. And sometimes a lot of like what you need or what you want to thrive gets put on the back burner, because if they're anything like my ex, they were deployed all the time, and if they weren't deployed, they were gone all the time. And if you had children, then you're pretty much being all encompassing and taking care of everything. And again, being a single mother, there's a lot of that too, but now you don't have to meet somebody else's expectations. You can focus on yourself and learn more about who you are and what you really want out of life. And after the grieving process and I really tapped into who I am, I've learned so much. And as someone who has their own business, there was a lot of feeling like I had to take this clientele or this clientele. And I let go of all of that and said, you know what, this is what I want. These are the people that I want to work with. This is how I want to work with them. And it just felt so much better to release all of that and let go of just trying to make ends meet and just focus on who you want to work with. Not only that, but a big part of being able to make shifts and have resilience was also knowing when to ask for help, because now everything was on me, right? I had to make sure that I was doing what I needed to do at work, but then also coming home and making sure that I'm being there for my child and making her feel comfortable. And because I had these limited beliefs of, well, she doesn't have both parents in her life right now, feeling like I needed to overcompensate. So really learning how to be the best me for my child was huge. But sometimes that looked like asking for help, and that was really hard uh, for my ego. But fortunately for me, I do have people in my corner who do help. And sometimes I do get judged for that. Sometimes when my child is gone away from me for a certain amount of times, people have their own judgments and their own beliefs. And a part of being resilient is not holding on to that negativity, saying, okay, well, there's this one person that's saying something that's judgmental or something that hurts me, but how can I understand that that's just how they feel and not hold on to those feelings and know what's right for me and not worry about what other people think about my parenting style. So there's a lot there. My nose is running, probably because I was tearing up earlier. It's so hard to talk about, but there's just a lot of positives and a lot of growth. And I think that if you can take away three things from this personal story is sometimes we hold on to things because of our own beliefs and how we feel like things should work. And sometimes we do need to try hard to work things out. But if we really feel like in our hearts and in our mind, we've done everything that we can to try to make something work, and we truly feel like it's time to let go, then do what you need to do to heal, but also find it in your heart to learn how to let go. And you have to be really intentional and really self-aware to get to that point in your life. um, Once you're able to learn how to let go, start thinking about how you can restructure those thoughts, because I will say there was just so much going into my head, letting go of this identity of who I thought that I was and embracing this new identity, but saying to yourself, what are the pros of letting go of this? For me personally, I've been able to tap into who I truly am and doing things that I never really thought that I would be capable of doing. And then third, um, not worrying so much what other people think about you, because we tend to focus on the negatives. And I know that when I hear negatives about my parenting style or what I'm doing on social media, it kind of like hurts my heart a little bit just because I care so much about people. But saying, okay, that's just one person or two people or whatever, and that's just a belief that they have. Don't let that run your entire day. Do what you feel like is best for you and what your kid and what is good for your kid. And for me, being able to know that my kid has family that loves her unconditionally, is there for her and supports her and she can have fun with, um, helps me to know that I'm still a good mother even if I'm not doing it completely by myself. So letting go of that pride and asking for help is okay, even if some people don't agree with you. Um, so, what I really want you guys to do is just um, really say, okay, it's okay to cry, it's okay to hurt. Those are all normal conditions, but always look at things, just know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that everything is going to be okay, and really try hard to focus on how this is an opportunity for you to grow and for you to really be your true self and do what feels right for you. So hopefully you guys um, can take some of my story and apply it to your own. If you already have and there's something that you've learned, I'd love to hear from you. Please like and subscribe, comment below. I want to get to know you guys. It's not just one-sided things. So I hope that you're having a great day and that this has brought value to you. And please continue living your life honest and wholeheartedly and going after your dreams. And I'll see you soon.